talk about 5 of the worst habits that are keeping you overweight. I struggled with my weight from the time I was a kid until about the age of 30. And on my 80-pound weight loss journey, what I realized was that actually the problem was I was just in some bad habits that had caused me to become obese. The thing is, these habits are a little bit subtle and you may not even realize that you're doing them. Habit number 1 is distracted eating. The thing is, in our culture right now, it is very common for people to watch TV while they're eating or to be on their phones while they're eating. And some people don't even stop working in order to eat anymore. All these things make it very easy to overeat. And the worst part of this is not only are you eating too many calories, but because you're distracted, you don't even realize you've consumed them. So then you're in this place where you're gaining weight and it seems like a mystery because you don't even realize how much you're eating. And the way to break this habit is actually kind of difficult, and that is to stop being distracted when you're eating. So in other words, you turn off all your devices, you put away all of your work, you stop and you focus on the food and you eat it. And as someone who loves to partake in some distracted eating, I can tell you this is hard and it's awkward, but it's totally worth it. And luckily, if you actually do this work of turning off the things and getting disciplined with this, it becomes easier over time. Habit number 2 is avoiding the scale. This usually comes up in 2 different ways, and both of them are really bad habits. The first one is that avoidance of the scale altogether, meaning you haven't weighed in years and you don't want to get on the scale and you don't want to know that number and you're just kind of sticking your head in the sand. The habit of avoiding the scale can also manifest in this way. So you may weigh, but you don't weigh consistently, because what happens is maybe you weigh the first time and you're like, yeah, that's not the best number, but then you try some stuff and then you get in a hurry and then you have a day you wake up and you're up a few pounds and you just say, well, I'll just not weigh for a while I get things under control. But the problem with that is those few days, that break from the scale, can turn into just never weighing yourself. The worst part about this habit is that when you don't really know where you're at with your weight, you don't know how much you even need to lose. And furthermore, you don't even really know when your plan is working. And this can lead to a lot of frustration and heartache. The way to break this habit is just to commit to consistently weighing yourself. I personally weigh myself every single day because I find that's just the easiest thing to do. It gives me lots of data to work with, but also I never have to try to remember, like, is this weighing day? It just always is. First thing every morning, I get on the scale. And because I do that, I always know exactly where I'm at with my weight. I know all about avoiding the scale because I did it for so many years. But what I found was that by avoiding it, it was constantly a worry on my mind because I didn't know where I was with my weight. And so once I actually got on the scale and saw that number, even though it was 40 pounds more than what I thought it was going to be, I finally knew. And that knowing has always given me peace. Habit number 3 is eating for comfort. Now, this is something that is very hard to understand that you're doing until you stop doing it. So how can you do that? Now, what worked for me was to practice intermittent fasting, because since I had a fasting window, meaning a period of time during the day where I was just not allowed to eat, I wasn't going to eat, so I had to deal with things, I started to realize that there was this very strong connection between, when I am feeling stressed or bored or angry or tired to wanting to eat. Now, the way to break this habit is, first of all, to realize that you're doing it. Now, practicing intermittent fasting consistently will really help you with this, because if you are determined not to eat during your fasting window, you will start to definitely see times when you're wanting to eat out of comfort. And when you start to learn that, then you can recognize it even when you're in the eating window. The second part to breaking the habit is to then figure out some other way to handle it, in some other way to comfort yourself. And there are some great alternatives, journaling, art, exercise, anything that you're doing other than eating can help break you of that habit, especially if you start to notice how much better those alternatives are. Habit number 4 is habitual quitting. I was in a really bad habit of quitting. I would try a plan for a week, and then because I didn't have amazing results, then I would go off and try something else. And this constant cycle of starting a plan, then not really giving it a fair shot, and then quitting ended up meaning that I wasn't ever really making progress. And furthermore, I was also in the habit of, sometimes doing a plan for longer, but then as soon as I messed up one time, just ate too much or didn't stick to the plan, whatever it was, I would quit because I had a perfectionist mentality. But I had to learn that, I'm not perfect. And in fact, trying to be perfect was derailing all of my progress. The way to break yourself of the quitting habit is to realize you're never going to be perfect. No plan is ever going to be perfect. You just have to figure out what you, as an imperfect human being, may be able to stick to rather consistently. And the plan itself is not going to be perfect. It's going to, maybe not be ideal, because no plan really is. Something perhaps that's nutritionally perfect is maybe not going to work very well for you socially, or just in your own preferences of things you like to eat versus things that you do not want to eat. At the end of the day, good enough is good enough. But even above that, the way to break yourself of the quitting habit is to change your mindset to one that says, I will never, ever, ever quit on the weight loss journey. Which means that as you're going along and things, aren't going well with your plan, maybe you go through a plateau, or maybe you start to gain weight, you have to sit down and say, I'm not quitting, so I'm just going to make a small change. And then you figure out what's going on and you make a change, and then you go forward and you never ever quit. The last habit is arguing with the scale. The thing about weight gain is that it is actually very simple. If you are gaining weight, or if you have gained weight, it just means that you are eating, or you have been eating, too many calories. But it's very tempting to want to argue with the scale. The scale is going to tell you the truth, though. It doesn't care about your feelings. It's just going to show you the number of pounds that you are every single day you get on it. Now, it is important to learn about weight fluctuations, because look, everybody's weight fluctuates, and it can go up by 5 pounds overnight. And it doesn't mean that you're even gaining weight. All it may mean is that you have some water weight. So I highly recommend weighing daily and keeping track of your 7-day average. Now, I have a video on the 7-day average that explains, how to keep track of it and why it's so important, and I'll link that below. But at the end of the day, if the scale is trending up over time, over say 6 weeks of time, it means that you're eating too much food. And what I found the best way to break myself of this habit of just arguing with the scale is to just accept it. To just accept that it's going to tell me the truth every day, and it's not going to spare my feelings. And that's actually a good thing, because I need to be held accountable. I need somebody to tell me the truth every day, and the scale will do that. So get on the scale, weigh daily, and then actually act on the data that it's giving you. So there you have it, 5 of the worst habits that are keeping you overweight. And again, these are the habits that I had, that I've had to try to break myself of, and that I'm still working on, by the way. There are times when I do still argue with the scale, or there are times when I want to avoid the scale. I do the distracted eating from time to time. And there are certainly times when I eat for comfort. And that's the great thing. Even though I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, I was able to lose weight, and you can too. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Chances are, since you just watched that video, you're on the weight loss journey yourself. And I just wanted to let you know that I do have some more resources available to you. First of all, I have lots of freebies on my website, 6milestosupper.com/freebies. On that page, you can find lots of downloads and printables that will help you on the weight loss journey. And I've written 3 different books to help you through the process. Also, I have a course on Teachable, Intermittent Fasting for Weight Loss 101. And this takes you through the entire process of weight loss with intermittent fasting, from how to get started, and then how to build your plan and customize it to your own life, and finally, how to keep it off for the rest of your life. And I also offer weekly office hours so that you can get your questions answered directly by me. Also, there's the option to join this channel. When you become an insider, you get access to the vlog I do. I also hold an additional live Q&A just for members. The links to all these things are in the description.